I'm here to introduce you to someone that you may not have heard of. And in fact, I didn't know who this former great dancer was myself. And I'm here to introduce you to him. His name is Peter Nelson, and he was a star with the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo. And he danced with a long list of great ballerinas. Here is Peter Nelson.
Thank you. I was born in San Francisco, May 4th, 1923. I was into sports early, but when I was in high school, the drama teacher wanted some boys to help with his studio that did plays and such. And I offered my service to him. And when I went over to do the job of moving furniture, scenery, and what have you, he said, you know, there's a ballet class that's open if you want to join it. So I thought about it, and yeah, I did. I started when I was 15 years old, and well, that's the beginning of my whole idea. But I was into sports at that time, playing football and baseball, and I went to his studio, and there was a dance class going on. He said, you know, that's free for you if you want to do it. So, and I did. So it started at that time, and as the years went by, I got to be pretty good at certain things, and there was a Russian person that his wife was in the class, and they talked to me and asked me if I'd like to study with Kozlov and Baldina, but they were living in Hollywood, and so I decided to go. He offered me a job and a place to live, and they taught me a private lesson on Fridays and Saturday. I had Kozlov himself, who was with the original Diaghilev Ballet and was a famous dancer himself. And Baldina, his wife, was one of the first persons to dance Fokines Les Sylphides. So I got to learn certain roles, and the class was unbelievable. There were famous dancers in the class, including George Zorich, and I can't remember some of the ballerinas, maybe Nana Gallner, yes. Well, I was going across the floor one day, and I had been there for about a year, and the girl watered the floor. Kozlov was on the phone, and she watered the floor, and she left a few puddles while I was going across the floor doing double saut de basque, and I slipped on one of the puddles, and I kind of tore a tendon in the back of my left leg. Well, Kozlov suggested I go home, or first of all, he said he sent me to his doctor, and the doctor, he said, call me and tell me what he says. So the doctor said, I think we have to operate. And I called Kozlov, and he said, no operation. Try this other doctor. And he was a therapist that did electrotherapy on my leg for quite a while. And it started to get feeling better. So he sent me back to San Francisco, And when I was home in San Francisco, Volodya Velikoselsky, a Russian man who was, his wife studied in the same class, they said, well, we'll talk to Christensen about you. And they called Willem Christensen, and he said, yeah, please send him in. We need male dancers. So when I went in, he said, you can take class, it's free to you. And, well, that started it.
How old were you when you began the classes with Lou Christensen, Mr. Nelson?
It wasn't Lou Christensen, it was Willem.
Oh, I see.
The older brother.
His brother.
Who was a student of Fokine.
Right.
And had the Bournonville training also.
Right.
So, I'm sorry.
How old were you? You must have been around 20, 21?
Yes, I was like 20 at that time.
Mr. Nelson, you were an athlete.
Yes.
And ballet is very athletic.
Oh, yes.
Did ballet come easy to you? Did you do a lot of things that you found just came easy for you?
It seemed easy, yes. Because the physical education I had in football and baseball was quite close to ballet. And even today, you find boxers
right.
and basketball players and track runners doing ballet.
For the flexibility.
Yes. So even Muhammad Ali, the famous boxer,
right.
I stopped him on the street one day. He had been working out in Central Park.
Uh-huh.
And I said, take care of your legs. It's probably the most important thing.
Exactly.
And you could see he had that by nature, he had it. So I don't think he studied ballet, but he really...
He moved like a ballet dancer.
He did, yes.
Mr. Nelson, when did you sign your first professional contract?
Oh, it was with Christensen, San Francisco Ballet.
And what did you do at San Francisco Ballet?
I was first dancer. I was in the first Nutcracker, by the way. We were the first people to do a complete Nutcracker, and we celebrated it for its 75th anniversary. And I danced all the leads, Nutcracker, Swan Lake, Coppelia, and some other ballets by Christensen.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was excellent as a choreographer, and then one day in the studio, when we were working out together, he did 16 perfect double tours, one right after the other.
In sequence?
Yeah. So he showed me what training can do.
Uh-huh.
And I enjoyed that. That was a wonderful thing for me.
Mr. Nelson, who was your favorite ballerina? That you just had an affinity for, that you got along with, that you had a rapport?
Probably Nina Stroganova, the Danish ballerina. She was ballerina with Ballet Theater. We did Swan Lake in New York.
What year was that?
I guess
45 or 6?
No, later.
Later.
I have it written somewhere.
So it was in the late 40s.
Yes.
And you did a production of Swan Lake with her.
Yes, here in New York. Also, Natalie Krasovska, we did Sleeping Beauty here in New York. And that was choreographed by Vladimir Dukadovsky,
Mm-hmm.
who was a famous dancer with Ballet Russe.
Right.
And his wife was Nina Stroganova
Right.
at that time.
Mr. Nelson, I want to take you back to your